everyone. Today we're going to be walking you through the install of our XJ rear bumper with the lower quarter panel guards that tie in the bumper and the lower quarter panel of your Jeep. Really gives it a sleek look and adds a bit of strength to the whole unit. Alright, so a couple of the tools that we're going to need to get this bumper bolted on are a 3/4 inch box end wrench, doesn't need to be a ratchet, a 3/4 inch deep well socket, a 17 millimeter, can be a shallow or deep well, ratchet, another ratchet with an extension, and you want to make sure that you've got a swivel, a 15/16 socket, a 15/16 box end wrench, and if you have our side guards that you're mounting on, you're also going to want a 7/16 wrench or ratchet and a 5/32 hex bit. Alright, so pro tip, if you have a few of our other parts like our no lift shackle boxes or even the bolt-on ones that give you a few inches of lift without cutting off the factory shackle mounts, both of those go all the way to the back of the frame or the unibody. So if you have our frame stiffeners, you have our shackle boxes, one variant or the other, you'll know that both of them go to this farthest back hole right here. So we actually have our replacement nut strips in there. You can see those welded 1/2 inch nuts. And then you can see these are our no lift shackle boxes. So with all that being said, our bumper utilizes all of that to help tie in to the back end of your Jeep. So when you sit these brackets up on here, you'll see that that hole goes all the way through your shackle boxes. So it bolts into the factory bumper mount bolts, which is not enough in and of itself, but it just keeps everything really clean and organized, and you're not stacking a bunch of washers on a bunch of stuff to make it work. It's designed to all work together. So we're gonna go ahead and get these brackets bolted up to the back of the Jeep, and yeah. Alright, so we've got our mounts put on each side of the Jeep here, but you want to leave them loose. We need to make sure that when we put the bumper on there, that these flanges are able to be sucked up tight to the ones on the bumper. So if you've got all this bolted down, it's not going to line up quite right, and you're just going to end up like pulling a bunch of stuff together that you're forcing it. So we just want to make sure that we leave these a little bit loose side to side, and I'm going to go over here and get the other side put on, and then we'll get this rear bumper put on and show you guys how that all works. Alright, so we've got our bumper slid on here. We're using the sides to kind of help hold everything in place here. So you can kind of see that this body line is helping to hold the bumper in place. But it's actually being held right here. So now we're going to take a couple of our 5/8 bolts and we're going to put those in the bumper, get everything kind of snug down in place, and that way we're going to drill the holes for the side mounts. Got everything lined up. The bumper should made up flush to the back of the Jeep. There shouldn't be any gap there. You want to make sure that everything's pushed up against it and get all your holes drilled. On the passenger side, you'll pull the interior panel off, you'll reach inside, and there's plenty of room to get nuts on the back side of all of these. You want to get these tightened down first up in the front here so that this doesn't have much of a gap, so that you get rid of all of the gap up in the front here, and then you'll work your way back. And lastly, tighten the ones down on the bumper. There's 3 on the side, 1 in the bottom. Mounting the rocker lower corner guards for the bumper on the driver's side is pretty much the same as the passenger side, except these 2 bolts right here, you won't be able to get a nut on the back side. I couldn't. So you're going to have riv nuts that go here and here. So you're going to drill those out to, it's like 3/8, just a little over 3/8. I always use a 3/8 bit because it kind of drills a little bit oversized anyway, and you can just kind of force the riv nut in there and get a really nice tight fit. So there are 1/4 riv nuts, 1/4 flathead screws. But yeah, these two, because of the gas tank and the filler neck and all the sheet metal inside there, you won't be able to get your hand down in here like you can up here for these two in the back. So these will take a riv nut. All right, so once we've got everything fitted up, both of the corner guards are on. All the body lines match up. The gap is even all along the bottom. You want to make sure that the gap is pretty even all along the bottom of the hatch. Right. If the gap on the taillights on each side, passenger and driver, is the same, but your hatch isn't quite straight, it's the way that the factory bolted the hatch on. So you'll have to loosen up the bolts up top where the hinge mounts and just kind of shimmy it around and get it to where you like it. But the taillights don't really have any adjustment, so that's just kind of where they are in relation to the body of the Jeep. We all know these things weren't built perfect from the factory anyway. There's a ton of variance in all of these models, so we just kind of got to work with what we've got and, you know, adjust some things where we can. All right, guys, that wraps up today's video on the install of our XJ rear bumper with the corner guard tie-ins. If you guys have any questions, drop us a comment below, send us an email to info@cavfab.com, or give us a call at our shop phone number. Yeah, hope you guys liked the video. Looking forward to the next one.